Well, welcome again to Driven 2020, day 4. This is 5 days of some of our best minds in automation talking about the 5 key themes that we see in the automation market: artificial intelligence, robotic process automation, general process automation, application modernization, and enterprise user experience design. So whatever is required, right, we'll help you find a faster way to get your business outcome. I'm even wearing the t-shirt today, right? There is a faster way. Also, you might have noticed that the new Forrester Wave for digital process automation service providers Q3 2020 came out. I've been, really subtle about that, and so you might not have noticed. And if indeed that is the case, please check out our website. If you go to www.bp-3.com, you can easily find a link to the Forrester report and download that, register and download. When you choose to work with BP3, right, you're choosing to work with people who are the best at what we do. And we really appreciate the recognition, but also the opportunity to share our craft and our enjoyment of what we do with you, our clients. And let me just say thank you once again. So we're ready to start day 4, focused on application modernization. And what does that even mean? Well, it turns out we all have systems we've outgrown. We have new technologies and approaches that have opened up new opportunities to address those systems and those needs and changing processes and market conditions. So our team works with clients to address those mission critical applications with all kinds of technology, but also with process expertise. And without saying too much more, I think I should hand it over to David Bailey, who is hosting our session today. Really excited for it. David, thank you.
Thanks, Scott. Welcome, everybody. I think that grinder video was specifically for me. Stuart's been trying to get me to upgrade my coffee grinder for a few years now, which is quite annoying when he points out the $1,000 grinders that I should start with. Let me get on the first slide and share my screen with you guys. So like Scott said, I'm David Bailey. I'm the Director of Engineering Services at BP3. And today's driven topic is application modernization. So I'm going to be hosting you through the day. A quick look at our agenda for today. We're going to be covering a lot of ground. Focusing on a variety of projects that BP3 has delivered that relate to application modernization. And application modernization can mean a lot of different things. So we've pulled together stories and examples that cover everything from RPA to IBM BPM to full stack development using the process lens that BP3 brings along. In a few minutes, I'm going to talk to you about a process that started out as RPA, but evolved into an intelligent automation application modernization example. Next, Joe Warner is going to tell you about a project that he's been working on with our team to modernize an IBM BPM solution. Then Rainer Rebeck will talk to us about modernizing a telecommunication company's construction application. Then Gordon Siegfried is going to demo Brazos portal, Brazos Task Manager, which is being used in multiple application modernization projects that BP3 is running to drive both task management of the process as well as provide insight and visibility into the progress of the jobs. Aaron Bretz is next, and he's going to cover microservices and tell us about how BP3 is helping Keller Williams orchestrate microservices using Camunda to drive process automation. And finally, Tracy Hires is going to talk to us about how BP3 helped modernize a cruise line reservation system. So what is application modernization? Well, Gartner defines it as the migration of legacy applications to new applications or platforms, including the integration of new functionality to provide the latest functions to the business. So it can include everything from replatforming, rehosting, recoding, re-architecting, re-engineering, interoperability, replacement, or retirement. So I think this is a good time for our first poll. What does application modernization mean to you? So while you guys are answering the poll, just want to cover a few of the technologies and concepts that you're going to see today. And looking at this list, I'm pretty sure if we threw blockchain on here, everyone could black out their bingo card, right? And the amazing thing though is that BP3 is using all of these things and even more in the solutions that you're going to hear about over the next 2 hours. We might not mention everything by name, But these are the kinds of technologies that are underpinning much of the application modernization work that BP3 is doing. So how are we doing with that poll, Krista?
So it looks pretty evenly spread across what people are using. I have a feeling lots of people are using lots of different combinations of this and have, or what they think the application modernization really needs. So
yeah, for sure. And it means a lot of things, like I said.
it's a big day.
All right, so what's BP3's approach to application modernization? Many application modernization projects start with existing data or the system of record as the foundation. BP3 starts with the business process and the customer journey that we're working to improve. Oftentimes, this means bringing in a process engine like Camunda to orchestrate the work and to provide a layer of visibility. And you're going to hear more details later today about how we did this at both Charter and at Keller Williams. One of the interesting side effects that we've seen in using process and decision notation as the basis for the applications is the business can not only visualize things like, oh, look, on task C, we've got 30% of our work stuck there, but they can also more easily understand what the underlying code is doing by looking at the BPMN and DMN diagrams. And this results in better conversations and better communication with our clients about the application and actually how it works. They get a visual understanding of what's going on by looking at these diagrams. Design thinking is key to making the kind of improvements that are needed. This means working directly with the business and developing hypotheses around the solutions before they're built. We then build clickable prototypes to do user testing to validate our hypothesis with the end users of the application. This is how we make sure we're building the right solution, something that the business is excited about using. Tomorrow's Driven is all about user experience design, and I encourage you to join to hear more about how BP3 is leveraging design and design thinking across our projects. We also apply modern software engineering practices. This includes the technologies we listed earlier, but it's more than just technology. BP3's engineering services team are experienced software engineers and architects who are passionate about software development. Agile development is table stakes, but successful projects require more than just using Agile methodology. We work with each other and our clients using proven processes such as pair programming, code reviews, test-driven development. And we're experts with engineering tools like Jira and Rally. We're going to hold regular grooming sessions to make sure we know what we're going to work on in the next sprint and make sure we understand what's in the backlog. At BP3, we call these story time. One of my personal favorite meetings are our weekly team playbacks and retrospectives. So every Friday, our whole team gathers together and shares what we've developed and what we've learned across all the projects that we're working on with application modernization and engineering services. In our retrospective time, we discuss what's going well, what's not going well, and what changes we can make to improve our software processes. This also helps make sure we continue to practice the processes that we know result in better outcomes. And finally, iterative development is key. You have to release valuable code frequently to the business. You learn from that release and improve from there. Burning down and rebuilding is rarely the right answer to modernization. Modern applications, they need to be adaptable, flexible. They need to be able to adjust to this quickly changing world that we live in without having to start from scratch. So iterative improvement is key in that. As a reminder, if anyone has questions, please feel free to ask those in the Q&A section of the webinar or in our Slack channel. I know a bunch of our engineers and consultants are out monitoring the Slack channel, so they're happy to engage and answer any questions you might have over there. So I want to give you an example of an audit process that actually started out as an RPA project for BP3. But as we learned more about the process, we found that it was really beyond simple RPA. You could call it intelligent automation, but I kind of like to think of this as application modernization of an Excel-based process. I'm starting with this example because it highlights how BP3 pulls together a variety of resources to solve complex problems. In this example, you'll see how we use RPA, software engineering, machine learning, and containerization. And this is a pattern that you're going to see throughout all of the application modernization solutions we talk about today. A couple of things to note about this process. First, it's an audit process, which means there's a busy time nature to the work. Now, RPA is generally not a great tool to use when you have high speed and high volume requirements. But we started out using RPA for this process, and it was a great proof of concept. But we realized it wasn't going to scale to meet the business's goal of adding new clients and still meeting their audit window that they had. The next thing is BP3 supports this process in a managed services capacity. So we have an ongoing relationship with the client, so our dev team can make iterative improvements and adjust the process based on any yearly regulatory changes that come up. And we've done things like build in error handling. So when the application runs into an error, it automatically opens a support ticket with our team. And this is a great example of how we leverage our BP3 Labs team in supporting applications for our clients. Finally, we were able to deliver several versions of this process to the client, and we have a current backlog to expand this automation more. We deliver the value, we learn from that value, and we work with the business to assess the improvements and build new functionality into that next release. The businesses that we work with in this manner always see more value in these kinds of iterative relationships. So here's an overview of the process in a diagram. We've broken down the swim names here, the top one being the human tasks. And we're only dealing with a current team right now, one current team. And so the other lanes represent different systems or different technologies that are being used. So we've also broken this process down into different milestones across the top. There's a pre-processing section, a trial balance consolidation section, a quick user review, audit testing, and then the final review. So what I want to focus on is really the first part of this application. The audit team has to take in hundreds of individual spreadsheets and consolidate them into a single workbook so they can test the consolidated accounts against the regulations. In the spirit of iterative improvement, BP3 added the automation of formatting the trial balances in the second version of this app. In this case, it's a simple RPA tasks, but it saves the business over 6 hours of manual work per client. The other big change we made in version 2 of this process was moving the major Excel processing out of RPA and into Java. And now we did this for a couple of reasons. Due to the large number of individual spreadsheets we're dealing with, like I said, we've got hundreds of different spreadsheets that we're consolidating. We had some reliability issues with the first version that just used RPA. Now, we could have probably thrown bigger hardware to solve that part of the problem, but we were also seeing the overall process take longer to complete than the team wanted. So we were able to pull in our software engineering team, implement some simple Java app that runs in seconds as compared to what RPA was taking hours to complete before. The third area I want to highlight is the account classifier. So the account classifier service, what we're doing here is working with a set of financials from different LLCs that each have their own chart of accounts. And the problem that we ran into was that the account descriptions for each LLC's chart of accounts are different, but they have to map to a standard set of accounts for the consolidated financials. When the bot comes across an account that doesn't have a mapping that matches the consolidated list, we use a cognitive decision service, which uses a combination of rules-based inferencing, natural language processing, and a convolutional neural network to figure out how to map that new account. We packaged all of that into a Docker container, and then we're able to easily deploy that on each of the bot runners that orchestrates the process. This is another area where iterative development really paid off for us. In the first version of this, we had about 40% accuracy. Not as good as we wanted, not as good as our client wanted. But after analyzing the results from the initial quarterly run, we were able to adjust and retrain the algorithm so it achieved 90% accuracy. With a managed services relationship, we can now make incremental improvements after each quarterly run and increase the accuracy even more. All we have to do there is retrain with new data, test, and then deploy the new version of the account classifier service Docker container out to bot runners using a CI/CD pipeline. Now, the rest of this process is pretty straightforward RPA, but we do see opportunities to enhance this process, especially as we start to kind of zoom out and look at the broader process and the full customer journey that's happening. So while this might not be the traditional application modernization story that you were expecting to hear today, I really like the example because it illustrates the kind of work BP3 is uniquely positioned to do, pulling together a variety of technologies like RPA and Java development and AI to create meaningful business improvements. And you can see from this slide, we've saved the auditors over 49 hours per client by using this application. So really substantial savings. And we've also improved the accuracy. You know, we eliminated those mundane human tasks that are prone to error and let the bot handle that. So leveraging BP3's key tenets of more focus, more foresight, and more follow-up, we can easily pull together the expertise that's needed whether it's re-engineering a legacy application, adding a layer of process visibility into a data-driven state engine, or making Excel-based processes faster, more reliable, and more intelligent.